Hello, this is Gail from Burger Sewing and Vacuum, and welcome to another edition of Foot Fetish. And today I'm going to talk about our bi-level feet. And these feet are very unique, and I think they're many times overlooked. We have one, it's called the right. So the regular one is a left, what they call the left. The other one is a bi-level foot right. And then we also have our quilt binding foot, which is a left bi-level foot. And if you could see the bottoms of them, if you look at the bottoms, I'm going to try and get my hand out of the way, you can see that one side is longer than the other. So it's going to sit, if you see, I can't get them to sit flat on a flat surface because they're not meant for that. The left one has the longer side on the left, the right on the right, and your quilt binding foot is also on the left. So what do you use them for? Well, one is I like to do what, flat felt seams, or what I call mocked flat felt seams. And this one, all I did is I just serged my seam and then I pressed it to one side, and now I want to do that seam. You'll see it on your jeans and whatnot, but what happens is because it's a bi-level foot, I've talked a lot about how it's all about the foot and its relationship to the feed dogs. If you have something like this and you try and put a flat foot on there, you're going to get a lot of pressure on this side, the thick side, but none on the thin side, because this has one layer of fabric and this has 4 layers of fabric. So with this, and you can see there's a little mark right there. I usually mark mine. You can see on my quilt one I put some Sharpie on there, but it's going to butt right up against there and run right along that edge. So now it's going to sit flat because it has that longer or deeper cut on that side, where we have this whole cutout area on this side. So now it's going to run right along there, and I can do as many rows of stitching that I want to do. The right comes in handy if I want to do it the other way around, but sometimes I want to go along the edge of fabric and maybe it's really thick. I was doing a purse and I had foam in there, and I wanted to do a zigzag right along the edge, and I was having a terrible time until I remembered, oh, I have a foot for that. And so I could run right along the edge, and you notice that the area that is, deeper goes right to the edge of the hole. So I could run it right along the edge, and this way everything stayed nice and flat, and I could do that zigzag along that really thick piece of fabric there. Where else would I use it? I would usually use these. Say I have a waistband that I want to sew down, and I have my seam allowance pressed to the waistband. Well, you're going from one layer to multiple layers, probably up to 7 layers on the other side. So anytime you have something where you have thin and thick, you're going to want to use a bi-level foot. Now I'm going to move these guys out of the way real quick, and I'm going to show you, and this is your quilt binding foot, and it also has that little knob, so that helps you go over your big thick areas, because quilts have those. And so the way you'd use your quilt binding foot, I'm not actually going to sew with it today, but you'd have it on there, and I do have mine marked, and you notice that this one, the area that comes out farther, so after I sew my binding on, then I could run right along here, and I can see where that flange is, where that wall is, and I can pull my fabric up, my binding over, and I could run it right along there, and I could move my needle over however far I need to. If I leave it right close to that edge, it's going to go right along the edge, and I'll sew down my binding just beautifully. And because I have this side is not as deep as the other side, it's going to feed nice and smoothly. So this is a great foot. A lot of quilters love this foot just for that, and just use it to sew on your binding. It does have the marks where the, where your channel starts. It does tell you your 1/4 inch and where your needle is. So that's it for this week, and have fun sewing with your feet. Until next time, bye-bye.